not used to going to my right. I'm used to going to my left when I approach anything. I didn't see that your steps are on the wrong side as far as I'm concerned. Thank you very much, Program Director, Mr. Ndoro. Our Deputy Minister, Mr. Manana, the leadership of the New Age, leadership of the SAPC, with us here today. Fellow panelists, I'm very pleased I'm not on my own today, so it's not going to be very cold in front here. Honorable guests, viewers of Morning Live, ladies and gentlemen and comrades, allow me to pay tribute to two of our greatest leaders who passed away this month of April. As Ricky has indicated, comrades Chris Hani and Oliver Tambo. Thank you very much for this once more. And it's a very important issue, this one of building synergies between the public and the private sector for purposes of job creation, and also highlighting the role of skills development in that context. The recent Global Competitive Survey found that nearly 20% of their respondents felt that an inadequately educated workforce was the single greatest reason why foreign companies do not invest enough in our country. The reasons for this, of course, Leanne was provoking me, lie in our past. Not only in the apartheid state's failure to train the majority of our citizens, but also its failure to invest in the means to do so, both in terms of quality and in terms of quantity. Growing our economy and expanding employment is essential for ensuring that our people can earn and make a living for themselves. As I've said before in this platform, we have more than 3 million South Africans between the ages of 18 and 24 who are not in employment, education, or training, and we probably have a larger number if you count the rest of the youth category between the ages of 25 and 35. The National Development Plan, which has been adopted by South Africans broadly to ensure that many more jobs, amongst other things, are created, poverty is reduced, and inequality dramatically narrowed. It mandates every ministry and department to take reasonable steps to expand job opportunities and build sustainable livelihoods that will enable South Africans to contribute to, participate in, and benefit from the economy. However, talking about the NDP, we must not lose sight of other key ongoing government programs like the New Growth Path and the Industrial Policy Action Plan, which are as equally important, and they set out government's economic and industrial strategy, and they all place a premium on the importance of education and training. One of the tasks, of course, that we have as a country in terms of our economy is to shift our economy towards more investment and lower consumption so that we are able to invest more in infrastructure and into our productive economy. We need less of uninvited SMSs and telephone calls that ask us to go and buy this or buy that, and use that energy more for mobilization of for investment into infrastructure and our productive economy. Also, these companies, they still have to tell us how do they get hold of our cell phone numbers, because they are supposed to be confidential. Expanding numbers within the post-school education and training sector is very key in job creation. Education in itself does not create jobs, but you cannot create jobs without education. And post-school education is central. That is why, for example, I want to say this, Peter, I won't want to take all your time, that we are pleased that is on our side as government, so that when we challenge our colleagues from the private sector, we can say this is what we are doing. We have increased enrollment in FET colleges from 358,000 in 2010 to 657,000 in 2012. Just in 2 years, almost doubled. And we have also increased money for loans, for bursaries, for FET college students from 318 million in 2010 to just under 2 billion in 2013. It's a huge increase. We are also focusing on increased production of qualified artisans to support our economy. But quality artisans, not just artisans. And the role of the private sector is very central in all this. In other words, companies should not just regard themselves as recipients of graduates, but they should also regard themselves as part of the education pipeline. In other words, the issue of quality must be a matter for government just as it must be a matter for the private sector. Because as I often say, Peter, the quality of our graduates, for example, from the FET colleges, is as good as our ability to give them workplace exposure. Therefore, the issue of partnership becomes very central. Allow me just to mention one or two more things before I sit down. One of the most important initiatives that have come up with government is this commitment to investing over the next 10 years trillions of rands into infrastructure. Now, this is a huge opportunity for job creation, but also a huge opportunity for training, for producing skills. This presidential infrastructure program has now been divided into 18 strategic integrated projects, which are already underway. Some of them, by way of example, for instance, is to unlock the Northern Mineral Belt in Waterberg as the catalyst, as well as building the Durban Free State Gauteng logistics and industrial corridor. These are very bold projects. And one of our mandates, something that is very exciting now for us as the Department of Higher Education and Training, is that we must produce skills development programs for each of the 18 mega infrastructure projects, so that we make sure that we produce the skills that we need. But apart from supporting training and skills development for the other projects, we also ourselves as the Department of Education are investing in infrastructure. In fact, our strategic integrated project is number 14. So we are not only assisting others, we're also investing. And I want to share with you today that over the next 3 years, Department of Higher Education and Training is going to be investing 12.6 billion rand in infrastructure. 12.6, which would include the building of the 2 new universities in the Northern Cape and Mpumalanga. We are building 12 new FET college campuses in areas where there is no post-school institution, mainly in the rural areas, as well as investing in other infrastructure in most of our FET colleges. Our universities alone are going to be spending 8 billion rands over the next, our 23 universities, with a particular focus on student accommodation. And we estimate that these projects by the DHLT will create about 65,742 jobs. So we are walking the talk, Peter. As you would know, I must emphasize this, and I'm glad from what I've heard this morning that the message at least is sinking in terms of realizing our slogan, together we can turn every workplace into a learning space. To please, let's hold out our hands to our graduates from FETs and from universities. We make sure we expose them. I've always said this, as South Africans, we can be more creative. You can't be having some of our university graduates, for example, sitting at home when we have got shortages in terms of some professionals. I believe that anyone with a university degree, you can do anything with that brain. Retool, give work exposure, and we are able to address this. So the importance of partnership, therefore, becomes important. Lastly, SMMEs, small, medium, and micro enterprises, should be another priority area for partnership between government and the private sector. It is estimated, for instance, that in South Africa, 73% of all workers work in firms with less than 50 people, and 45% of all workers work in firms with less than 10 people. It is on record that given the high levels of poverty and unemployment in South Africa, there is an immediate need for an expansion of measures to stimulate entrepreneurial activity for purposes of creating more jobs. But information tells us, which is disturbing, that between 50 and 80% of new ventures fail within 5 years of their establishment. We need to focus on this to make sure that SMMEs do not die in their infancy stage. Let me raise one thing that we intend doing now with our FET colleges and universities of technology. We want also to start building them as incubation centers. In other words, they begin to prepare students for the real world of work by also preparing them for entrepreneurial work and business activities. That can be a real exciting partnership with the private sector in terms of using our institutions as incubators for small business, for cooperatives, and other things. Once more, let me thank the New Age and SAPC. Please do not stop this initiative and this platform, irrespective of who says what. Thank you very much.